So with yesterday's patch, Guild Wars 2 added 12 new relics. And the good part about it is they are core. That means that we get it for free. You don't have to own any expansion. I don't mean you get the relic itself for free, but you don't have to unlock it first. You can buy it directly from the trading post if you want to. And if you have the legendary relic, you can also use it directly. Very nice. So, how good are they? Let's take a look at them. So let's first start with the so-called summon relics. Back in the old days, runes had the 6 bonus, and some of them actually gave you some kind of pet, some kind of minion that would be summonable with the 6 rune bonus. And a lot of people, especially role players, but a lot of people that actually enjoyed some kind of minion builds, were using those runes. And with the release of relics, they were deleted. But now some of them are back. So what do we got back? We got back the Relic of the Golemancer. So we summon a golem with a 60-second ICD. All of those summon relics have a 60 seconds ICD. The pets or whatever they summon are actually all somewhat similar, but they have distinct attacks. So I would say all of them are okay if you want to use them, but it's more like a roleplay flavor. It's not probably anything that will be a meta pick in any game mode, because it's not, you know, you can't control it, it's not really crazy good, and you just lose your relic slot, even though you get something from the damage from whatever utility it brings, the pet, but it's not really providing you anything that is better than the usual relics that you would pick. But if you like them, go for it, because they are core, really nice. So like I said, this is the golem. You have the Lich relic, which gives you a jagged horror. Then you have the Ogre, which gives you a pet rock. You have the privateer, which gives you the parrot. And I think you have, where is it? You also have Holosmith one, which gives you a laser disc. I think this is the only one that is actually useful on specific PvE builds, I would say, because this is actually very high amount of damage, and it's not really a summon relic, it's more like a extra attack that you get. And I think that can be used on PvE builds that use the elite skill quite often, and is also power-based, I would say, mainly. And I think this relic is actually also possibly playable in a Zerg scenario in World vs. World, because you actually can deal quite a lot of damage with it around you. Maybe on some kind of DPS Holosmith, maybe that's worth it. We will see. All the other summon relics, I would say, are not that crazy good, but at least we got new relics. That's a very nice. And then let's talk about the, so to say, a little bit more generic, but still probably more useful relics. So let's start with Altruism. So that's the first one they added. It's a more of a support relic. Grant might infuriate nearby allies after using a healing skill. I would say this is a relic that is very good for supports in PvE, probably, that can't upkeep Fury and Might 100% time. But because you can see, if I have enough boon duration, this is actually 100% Fury on itself if you have enough healing skills uptime. Yeah. So I think this is actually an okay relic for a core relic. It's actually okay, but most supports nowadays don't need it. Then we have Relic of Earth. Relic of Earth is interesting. Grant protection and magnetic aura to allies after using elite skill. 30 seconds ICD. This is very strong, I would say, on builds that need reflects but can't provide them. For example, if you really want to go for a reflect on some kind of support build on Revenant, it's not possible. You can only deflect. So maybe that can be used there, but on most other builds, I would say, I'm not sure if it's really worth it to go for that, because typically on Elementalist, you have enough magnetic aura uptime. Maybe if you want to transmute it even more on Catalyst with Staff, maybe, but it's really, you lose a relic slot for it. So I think it's a decent relic, but there are better relics out there. That's just my analysis here. And maybe in PvP, it's decent, because you can actually get more protection and more auras out. But we will see there are actually better relics actually also in this patch. So I think it's a nice relic, a nice addition, but probably not that broken that you would use it anywhere really as a meta relic. Then we have the Relic of Fire. This is interesting. Gain Fire Aura after using a healing skill. Fire Aura increases your outgoing strike damage. So first of all, I really think it should be strike damage and condition damage, but okay, that's about it. But 7% is, let's say, for a situational relic, quite decent, because the situation is healing skill, Fire Aura. You can get Fire Aura other ways as well. So if you get support, if you get from Berserker, if you get it from let's say, fire swapping on Elementalist, especially on Weaver when you can swap very fast to fire. This is actually decent, but it's only power damage, so I think it's not that broken in competitive modes. But in PvE, maybe it can be useful on an Elementalist, if you have a support Elementalist especially. But I don't know if it's really that broken. I think it's okay. You can use it, but there are better relics. Probably Firework is just straight up the best option here. But I think it's a nice flavor. I think the ICD is also too long. I think it would be better if the ICD would be lower, but okay. I think it's a nice new relic. Then we have Vampirism. This one is an interesting one. 20-second ICD. Siphon life from nearby foes when you use a healing skill. Restore a portion of your maximum health upon killing a foe. So the first part is interesting because this is the siphon that you just get from, for example, shouts and stuff from Necromancer. It's okay, but it's probably not that crazy strong. But the on-kill part actually is very interesting because 10% of your maximum life whenever you kill a foe is actually decent. Yeah, you could run that in World vs. World if you really want to, but the thing is, typically, if you kill your foes, you already won the fight. So this is a win more relic. And I don't see it really that useful in PvP at all. And in PvE, I don't know. If you really need the healing in open world, I don't know. And that's the only place where you really kill a lot of foes. So I think this relic is a fun design, but it is not, really useful in most situations if you think about it. We had back in the old days, Relic of Vampirism, or the Rune of Vampirism rather, was giving you an invulnerability, like a mist form. That was crazy. They did not bring it back, so that's a different relic now. Then we got the Relic of the Eagle. Deal increased strike damage to low health enemies. This is interesting because this is actually a 5% flat damage boost if you calculate it above all 100% of the fight. So this can be, I would say, decent in competitive modes as well, because then you can actually destroy enemies below 50% health. I'm not so sure if it's really that useful. I think it's nice. You can use it. It's also it's a core relic. It's actually okay. Relic of Surging. Gain Shocking Aura for 4 seconds after using Elite Skill on a 30 seconds ICD. This is really, really good. Back in the old days, Surging Rune gave you Shocking Aura on Elite Skill uses exactly like this. And this was used on Power Revenants in World vs. World and PvP because you have so many, maybe even instant cast activation of this relic because you have multiple elite skills. And that means that you can proc that very consistently, and Shocking Aura is one of the best, if not the best aura that you could get because it stuns enemies when they attack you. So this is really, really strong. In PvE, I don't see that used anywhere because I think you don't need it on any build in PvE. But in World vs. World and PvP, I can see it run on a Power Revenant, but you lose the damage buff from the other relics. I'm not sure if it's really that broken, but it's a nice addition. It's definitely something that you can build craft. In 30 seconds, ICD is a bit high, but it's also a strong effect. So I don't know. Maybe it's useful, but I would say it's still debatable. But at least it's core, so everyone can use it. And now let's go for the last relic, which is Relic of Thorns. This one is interesting because it's probably the most useful one. Gain stacking condition damage when you are hit by a poisoned foe. When this triggers, it refreshes the duration of all stacks. This is really interesting because you can have a maximum of 10 stacks. Each stack gives you 50 condition damage, so that means 500 condition damage if you can get that consistently. This means that it's actually giving you a decent amount of condition damage, actually a very high amount, consistently. The sad part is it's only useful in a long fight because you can't build it up very fast. But if you fight, for example, in PvP on a, let's say, Condi Soul Beast or something that applies a lot of poison to enemies, and they hit you consistently, which will happen in PvP, also in World vs. World roaming, for example, then you actually get quite a decent amount of condition damage. And I would say this relic is actually also useful in some situations in PvE. For example, you can use that on a solo build maybe, or something that has a very long fight where you expect to get hit. That's the important part. It has to be a long fight where it ramps up, and it has to be an enemy that actually hits you. Only then it actually procs. So I think this is a really cool designed relic because I think in general, if you can get up to the maximum stacks, it's probably the highest damaging relic out there. Just from the straight up damage buff that you get. I'm not sure if it can compete, for example, with Relic of Fractal just for more damage on Condi builds, but at least it gives you very decent amount of condition damage consistently. But you need to get hit. So I would say for the most part, it's not useful, but for example, in some fractals it can be useful on a Condi build. For example, in 99 CM, I can see this actually being run on some kind of build because it can consistently get hit by the boss. But other than that, I'm not so sure if it's really that broken. So it's very interesting design in PvP and World vs. World, probably the best relic out of those 12 that we got. But in PvE, I would say very situational. And that's my analysis of the relics. I think they are decent. At least we got 12 new, but I did not expect them to be broken because they're core, and I think there's a small gap between core relics and the expansion relics. Please let me know your take on the new relics in the comments. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks to all my supporters on YouTube, Twitch, and Patreon. Thanks, Lane. Thanks, Malice. And I hope to see you all in the next video.